Hello, everybody. I'll give it a couple of seconds to make sure that everything is working. Um, Leave a comment, say hello when you see me and hear me to make sure that everything is good. I'm checking on my iPad too, just to make sure. All right, so quickly before I get into it, I want to kind of give you guys an idea of what's going on for those of you who don't know. So today, myself, as well as some of the members of the Handmade Happiness Facebook group, have put together a live YouTube hop, and we're not doing any crafting today. We are just simply getting to know one another as people. Get to know each other's style as far as crafting goes, what our goals are, things like that. So after me, there is going to be Linnea, and her channel is linked in my description box below. So we're each going to be on for about a half an hour, and we kind of did a poll in the Facebook group of what questions people want us to answer. So we're all going to be pretty much answering the same questions. Of course, you guys can chime in and ask any questions as I go along, or if you want me to follow up on anything. I'm a little close. Let me back this up a little bit. All right, that's a little better. All right, so the first question that people wanted us to answer is, how did you get started card making? So I've, some of you guys know me pretty well, so you probably already know the answer to this. But I started card making. I've always been crafty. I've always been into making my own things rather than store-bought things ever since I was really little. And I even made cards when I was really, really little, but not to this extent. And I made wedding invitations because I was trying to save money. And I just bought the basics, a paper trimmer, corner rounder and things like that. And that following Christmas, I decided to try to make my own Christmas cards. And it was just, it was it from there because I realized I needed a whole lot more than a paper trimmer, and spent lots and lots of money over the following couple of years after that. But I, unlike most people, I did not start with Stampin' Up. I know a lot of people, that's how they kind of get introduced to card making and scrapbooking and stamping and all of that. I did not do Stampin' Up. In fact, I had never even heard of Stampin' Up until a couple of years after I started card making. So I didn't get started that way like most people do, but that's how I got started. Next question is, what is my style and favorite medium? Odds are, if you guys are here, you kind of know what that is. My style, I really like clean and simple cards, but I also like scene building. So I would say that those are my two favorite. And obviously my favorite medium is alcohol markers. I do love watercolor, and oh, we have a visitor. This is Frankie, everybody, for those of you who don't know, but I think most of you do. Um, he's showing his butt. Frank, turn around. Turn around, Bob. I'll block that. But yeah, so that is my favorite medium. I do like colored pencils. I do like watercolor, but I definitely need some improvement when it comes to those two mediums. So I tend to stick to what I know and what I love the most, and that's Copics. Next question is, what is my most challenging technique? And I would say the most challenging technique for me is mixed media. I love, love, love to see you guys creating mixed media. But when I go to try it, and I know it's supposed to be messy, and I know it's supposed to kind of all come together in the end, and it's going to look bad before it looks good, like a lot of things. But I never get past the looking bad part. It just continuously looks worse and worse and worse. So I definitely need practice on that. And I don't really have the right materials, the products to use for that. So maybe I'll put that on my Christmas wish list to get some items for mixed media, because I definitely want to work on that. Next question is, who is your crafty hero? And this, I knew what these questions were naturally because I asked them. I mean, I asked the group what they wanted to know. So I knew these questions ahead of time. And this is the one that I've been kind of going back and forth with because I honestly don't really have one. One, I would say if I had to say somebody who kind of inspired me to change my style of card making, I would say Kelly Lativola. I used to watch her videos. I still do. But I watched her videos faithfully before I even owned a Copic marker or an alcohol marker. And previous to that, I had watched a lot of Sandy Allnock, and I mean, she's amazing. But I know I'm never going to be Sandy Allnock. I know that I'm never going to be able to do what she does, regardless of how much I practice. So it never really encouraged me to take the plunge with the Copic markers. But watching Kelly for probably a year, she made it look as if I could do it. So gave me the confidence to actually try, and I did, and I kind of never looked back to my old card making style, which was very repetitive. I didn't really switch it up. There was really no creativity there. I kind of just stuck to the same thing over and over. But I would say Kelly Lativola. Now that I have my Copics, I love my Copics, I use my Copics, I would say that I don't have one single crafty hero. I think that I get inspired by everyone that I see. And especially the encouragement piece. I love to see people encouraging one another to try new things, whether it be in card making or just maybe trying out a blog or trying out a YouTube channel. So I think watching people try new things and succeeding, I think that that's what inspires me to kind of keep going, because there's times that it becomes a lot of work. And so it's you guys, basically all of you guys. Right. So next question is, do I craft alone or with friends? 99.9% of the time I craft alone. I will occasionally craft a little bit with my mom. Oh, he sees the reflection from my iPad on the wall, so he's going to go crazy for that. It's a sunny, beautiful day here. I live in New York, and it should be about 45 degrees now, and it's like 70 something and beautiful. And I had to close the windows for this, and he's having a fit, but he sees the reflection, so he's good. So sometimes I will craft with my mom. Obviously, if we have any kind of meetups or anything, I'll craft with other people. I'll craft on Zoom sometimes, but most of the time it's by myself, because most of the time I don't really have the time to just sit down and have fun. Not saying I don't have fun, that's the wrong term. But craft for fun. It's usually because it's a project or because it's for YouTube or for a specific thing. So it's usually by myself. He's gonna come on my lap now. All right, what is my favorite stamp company? I think most of you guys probably know this too. Honeybee Stamps is definitely my favorite. NFT is a very close second. I typically like everything that Simon Says Stamp comes out with. There's so many out there that I can't pick. Honeybee is hands down my favorite, but beyond that, they're all like second place. I love Trinity Stamps. I love them all, and I usually will try anything. I don't really stick to a certain company. If I happen to go shopping on Simon Says Stamp, I don't search for a specific brand. I kind of just go to the stamping, like when you go to the drop down and it goes new stamps or whatever, and it's new to old. Whatever I look, I put in my cart. It doesn't really matter the brand. All right. So next is, am I a messy or tidy crafter? Messy, 100%. 100%. And I like to have a very organized craft room. It's been harder these days to stay organized. And I think because I'm filming so many videos lately, and it's kind of, I film a little bit here and a little bit there in between the work for Create and Inspire. So I have made a huge mess. And when it's time to go on to the next card, I don't necessarily clean up my previous mess. And then you have a huge mess, and it takes a lot longer to clean up. So I try to keep up with it. Lately, it's been a little bit hard. The 25 Days of Christmas card series starts on Monday, and it's 25 days in a row. So I've been trying to get ahead of that on top of doing the other things. So it's been, my craft room pretty much looks like a tornado came through right now. Do I save scraps for future projects? if it's specialty paper, I do. If it's glitter paper or like the pearl paper or something like that, I typically do. If it's just regular cardstock, not really, not small scraps. If it's a decent amount where I can get a sentiment strip out of it or something like that, I do. But I'm not really a pattern paper type of girl, type of crafter. So I don't really use it. So when I'm done with it, I do throw it away. All right, next is how much planning goes into each video. And this can vary. Lately, very little. Typically when I sit down to do a card, I do have an idea in my mind. 99% of the time it doesn't come out to be what I had in my mind. But, you know, as far as prep goes, I'll get some supplies out. I will cut masks if I need cut masks, things like that. But pretty much none. I don't really, I'll get my ink blending tools out, things like that if I think I'm going to use them in that project, but really not much planning for me. I don't, you know, make a card and then reproduce it for a YouTube video. I rarely will make the same card twice. I don't make the same card twice. So no, for me, none, very little. Next is, what is the most difficult part about having a YouTube channel? I would say, well, I think the struggles of having a YouTube channel has changed for me over the last, what is it, 2.5 years? I think in the beginning, it was the struggle to get noticed, the struggle to get subscribers, the struggle to get views, and to get your name out there. I don't really worry about that anymore. And it's not that my channel is huge, because it's not, but it's just that I just don't focus on that anymore. I focus on the success. I feel like if I get a video out and somebody is inspired by it or learned a new thing, even if it's just the tiniest little thing, I feel like it was successful. And I think that's the hardest part for YouTubers, especially in the beginning, is they feel like nobody cares or nobody knows who they are. But it only takes one person. It really only takes one person. And it's so flattering when I get tagged on social media and on Instagram or whatever that somebody has recreated one of the cards I made. I don't look at that as copying. Even if it is, even if you did exactly what I did, use the same stamp set, same colors, same inks, same everything, I don't necessarily look at it as copying, because it's going to look different. And I promise you it will look different. We could do the same exact thing, use the same products, use the same techniques, and it will look different because my card is my card. Your card is yours. So just because you get an idea from me doesn't mean that you can't make it your own. And different people feel different ways about that. So I would say that that was the most difficult part. The most difficult part now is the time. My cards are not ones that come together quickly. Normally, I either do a scene card usually, or it's a kit video, which is 5 cards. And even if those 5 cards are simple, at the end of the day, it's still 5 cards. And then you have 4 or 5 hours of footage that you have to get down to about 20 minutes. And I would say finding the time. But I'm trying to get better at that. And I think I'm getting back in the swing of things. Create and Inspire kind of threw me for a loop as far as the amount of time that I spend on it every day. But I'm kind of getting into more of a routine. So I'm getting better at it. But I would say that that's my biggest struggle now. Next is, how do you get inspired when you are in a slump? I would say that those are the few times when I do get into a slump, as far as a creative slump. And, you know, we all get into them where we either don't feel like crafting because we just don't feel creative, or we sit down and try to make something and nothing comes out the way we want it to. Put all of it away. Put all of it away. This is what I do anyway, and it seems to help me. I put away the stamp sets. I put away the projects that are due, the things that are supposed to be due that I have to get on my YouTube channel. I put all of it away. I get inks out, I get paints out, I get paper out, and I make a mess. And I just play. And I find different techniques that may not be known, that kind of happen by accident. And I make a mess. And it may not, and it may end up going in the garbage. It may go into my boxes of, backgrounds that I may use someday. Or it may sit on my desk for a month. Who knows? But I just make a mess and have fun with it, because it's important to know why especially if you're on design teams and you have commitments and things like that, it can be a little stressful sometimes. And we have to kind of remember why we fell in love with this craft, why we fell in love with card making. So go back into your craft room, get out the messiest things that you have and make a mess and have fun with it, and have no goal in mind. Knowing that if it turns into a card, great. If it turns into a layout, great. If it doesn't, that's great too, because you made a mess and you had fun. So it's important to kind of go back to that sometimes, and I find that helps me. So I hope that helps. All right, so next is, what other crafts do I do? Currently none. But I was into jewelry for a little while. Then that got a little repetitive, but I still have all the stuff if I ever want to make something. Baking, I know that's not really a craft, but I was more into cake decorating and cookie decorating, which I would say is crafty, because it's you kind of have to have some creativity. You have to kind of use some, I don't want to say artistic ability, because that's something I don't have, but it's fun to pretend I do. So I used to make cakes a lot. And when I moved into the place I have now, my kitchen is just not nearly big enough for it, because you do need a lot of counter space. So I haven't been able to make cakes or cookies or anything like that in a while. But I hope to soon, because that was fun. That was really fun. That's another thing that makes a huge mess. But yeah, I used to make wedding cakes and things like that, and it was a lot of fun. So I would say that's my, if I was able to do it still, I think that would be something I would spend probably just as much time on as I do with my cards, because and you get something out of it. My dad, because I would have all these cakes that I would make for practice and just for fun. And I don't love cake, like regular cake, or I'm just not, I could take it or leave it. But my dad loves cake. So he would get all of my cakes. So, do I listen to music or watch TV while I craft? Yes and yes. So it depends on what mood I'm in. Sometimes I'll put on music. Sometimes I'll put on, not usually TV, but I'll use the true crime YouTube channels, and I'll just stream them so I can listen to them as I go. And that's kind of how I got hooked onto true crime again. I've always been interested in it, but I kind of get really hooked because it was something that I didn't have to actually watch. I could glance up from now and again, if there was pictures or like the surveillance videos for like things that were caught and things like that. But for the most part, I could just listen to them and continue to work while I listen. And I'm still into them. I'm still very much into them. But yeah, usually I don't really watch much TV at all, even when I'm not crafting. So that's usually what I do. And lately, ever since some of you guys follow me on Instagram and Facebook, I was with my mom a couple of nights ago. We went out to dinner, and I was in her car, and she had the 80s channel on XM radio on, and Please Don't Go Girl came on by New Kids on the Block. And I was obsessed with them when I was little. I was like 6 years old when I was obsessed with Joey McIntyre. So lately, I have been listening to New Kids on the Block. I put on their whole entire album on YouTube, and I listen to it while I craft. And I'm enjoying it. All right, what's my favorite color? Heck yes, I danced. You have to do the Joey McIntyre dance. And by the way, for those NKOTB fans, Joey was my favorite. Do you remember the hat that he wore? It was kind of sort of like a fedora, but it had the top cut out of it. I had the hat. I got it for my birthday. I had two of the hats, one with the hole and one without the hole. But I had my Joey McIntyre hat. I'm sure my mom probably still has it upstairs in the attic somewhere. What's my favorite color? My favorite color is probably turquoise-ish. Um, Comparing it to Copic markers, because that's what I do. It's a BG13 would probably be my favorite color for those of you who have Copic markers. I judge everything by Copic markers. My nail polish is, it's like, oh, that's like an RV11. You know, that's how I look at things. My favorite movie of all time, is The Wizard of Oz. I've loved that movie ever since I was little. I used to pretend I was Dorothy. I used to, my mom is here, so she's probably reliving all of this in her mind. When I was really little, I knew every line to the movie. And I'm telling stories, Mom, relax. I used to throw my pound puppy. Do you remember pound puppies? I threw my pound puppy down the hallway and was like, the run, Toto, run. And that was my Toto. I would have a basket, just like Dorothy did. The only thing I never did have, because I don't think they made them when I was a kid, but they do now, is the ruby slippers. I never had the ruby slippers. I think I had red shoes and I pretended they were ruby slippers, if I remember correctly. My mom can correct me. But I never got the ruby slippers. But Wizard of Oz is definitely my favorite movie of all time. But I like Disney movies. I can still, you had to have a tissue. Dorothy was always crying. Um, I like Aladdin, and I like the new Aladdin just as much as I like the animated Aladdin. But that's probably my favorite Disney movie. But I would say, yeah, Wizard of Oz. But that is all the questions that were asked in the group. Does anybody have any questions that they want to know or anything that you want me to follow up on? I have about 7 more minutes before we're going to jump over to Linnea's channel for her live, and each person is going to have the next person in the hop linked in their description box, so you can get to know them a little bit. And I have a feeling that you're probably going to find some YouTubers that maybe you've never heard of before. They're fairly new to YouTube, some that have been around for a little while. So we have a nice mix, and I think it goes to 4 or 3 o'clock. I don't know. What time are you on, Michelle? Because I know Michelle's the last one. The EK Success journaling pen. Yes. They stopped making those. Okay, so yeah, ends at 4. They stopped making the EK Success journaling pens from what I've heard. But there are some random stores that still have them. I know, I think she's still in here. I don't want to call out her name because I don't know whether she's comfortable with it. But I know that one of my friends who was at least in here earlier, said that she saw it at her Joann's. So I don't know. So I think it's kind of just random whether or not we're going to be able to find it or not. I know I just missed a comment here. Have you sold for any craft companies, and which companies have you been on design teams for? Okay, so I'm going to list off the design teams, but forgive me if I forget one. My very first design team was Scrapping for Less. I was on Trinity Stamps, Kindred Stamps, Miss Ink, Honeybee, Simon Says Stamp, Simon Hurley. I think that might be it. I might be missing one. And it's, Not Too Shabby. I forgot about Not Too Shabby. And I think that might be it. For the design teams. And the other question was, have you sold for any craft companies? No, I don't know what that means exactly. But no, I haven't sold anything. I've just designed for them. Tuesday mornings. Yeah, well, I have a Tuesday. I did. I don't know if they're still there. Most things in this area are either still shut down or have closed for good because of the pandemic. But we did have a Tuesday mornings, but we never had anything in there that was worth going to. Yeah, so the EK, going back to the EK Success journaling pens, they okay, sorry. I'll go back to that in a second, Katie. There are other ones that are similar. I know that the Ranger Letter It journaling pens are very similar, and they are sold in packs similar to the EK Success journaling pens, and they're Copic safe. So that might be something you want to check out if you're not able to find the EK Success journaling pens. I've never sold Stampin' Up! Or Close to My Heart or anything like that. In fact, I said in the beginning, but I know that some of you guys came in a little bit later. I had never even heard of Stampin' Up! Until maybe 3 years into my card making life. And I actually had a party because I figured, oh, this is a great way to get introduced to new products. And nothing against Stampin' Up! It just wasn't for me. I don't even think I have the things that I purchased anymore. And you know, they ask you if you want to be a consultant and all of that, or a demonstrator, whatever they call it. And that just wasn't for me, just because I can't stick to one brand. There's too many brands and products out there that I love so much that I just couldn't stick to it. But that's based on the individual. That's just personal preference. But I've never sold anything like that for either one of those companies. And Close to My Heart, I don't even think I've ever tried anything of theirs. Maybe I have, but I don't own anything now. If it is something that I had, I no longer have it. But that is all the questions that I'm seeing, unless anybody has anything else before we jump over to the next video. We have about 2 minutes left. I'm not seeing any comments left. So I know it's a little delayed, but I just don't want to miss anybody. But I'll be live again. You guys know I love chatting with you guys. So this is like the perfect time for me. So all right, guys. So make sure that you check out the description box below for the next link. Make sure that you check out her other videos too, if you haven't already, to make sure that if it is something that you want to subscribe to, that you subscribe to her, and we can jump over to the next one, and she will be live in about 2 minutes. All right, guys, have a good day. Bye.